Hello, everyone. This is John Cash Philippi with Gaming and Leisure Voice. I am here today. I have the honor of talking with Glenn Wilson, who is the CISRO of Yamava Nation, or Yamava Casino, and Sam. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name. He's going to help us with that.
Yes, yes, I am happy to. So it's the Yuhaviatam of San Manuel Nation.
So the Javier Tom of San Manuel Nation, uh, we're going to have a great time. But before we get started, we have a sponsor. We're fortunate to have a couple of great sponsors on GNL Voice. So let's take a moment and hear from them. Agilis helps the gaming industry realize its full potential through exceptional technology that goes beyond what other tech providers have trained hospitality to expect. We build our state-of-the-art hospitality-focused software for continuous innovation, industry-leading data sharing, maximum flexibility for best-of-breed performance, and smooth ecosystem integration, and an always-learning guest profile engine so you can create personal experiences. It's time for hospitality to go beyond with technology from Agilicis. Welcome back. So, Glenn, why don't you go ahead and tell us all a little bit about your background, which is, I've got to admit, one of the more interesting backgrounds in the industry, and definitely the person to be talking to about the state of cybersecurity.
Thanks, John, and I truly appreciate you having me on the show. Thanks. So I got started in information security completely by accident. So back in the early 80s, someone owed my father some money and gave him a computer instead of that money. My father gave it to me and said, "Here, son, I can't figure it out. You play with it, you figure it out." And I used that to learn how to code. And in coding, I learned how to hack. And understand, I grew up as a hacker. That's how I started. It's in my blood. But hacker was not a bad term when I got started. Hacker merely meant you were really good at writing computer code. It didn't mean you were breaking and stealing things. Those people were called crackers. So, cracker, like a safe cracker, those were the bad people. So I wrote one of the first war dialers and used that to do some penetration testing on a lot of organizations. Never to get anything bad, just see if I could get in, right? Very curious kid. After a while, I started leaving people notes and saying, "Oh, by the way, here's how I get into your system. You should probably fix that." And then they'd fix it, and I would do it again. So really, I could have been earning some pretty good money as a penetration tester when I was a kid, when I was just doing it for free. So I went from that to writing software for the mortgage industry. Also did some coding there, did some security penetration testing there as well. And then for about 20 years, I owned a company called Millennium Systems, and I was the CEO slash CISO. We were sort of a boutique IT and IS support firm. Did a lot of penetration testing there as well. So you'll notice this theme is penetration testing and hacking. It's just in my blood. It always has been, and it's what I really enjoy.
I take it you're all for penetration testing.
Yes, sir. Yes, early and often. And joined the tribe back in, gosh, it's been 2020 now. So I've been with the tribe for 5 years and very blessed to have this position. Great enterprise to work for. Happy to work for the nation. And we have lots of stuff to keep me very busy. So we've got two casinos, hotel resort, another hotel, a bunch of different properties that keep me very, very busy. So thanks for having me on. And sorry to run so long on my background, John.
Oh, no, no problem at all. As far as your background, I mean, I have all these notes over here, but I always get lost in your background because it's just so fascinating. But I guess my first question is cybersecurity used to be the boogeyman in the closet, right? It used to be you'd walk by, the boogeyman would jump out and scare you to death, and you would scream and run away and or beat up the boogeyman or do whatever you do. If it's cheap budget movie, you jump in the closet with them. But now it seems like we're gotten to a point where I deal with cybersecurity and I walk by the closet, the boogeyman's there, and I look and say, ah, it's you again. I'm not even that scared anymore. Like I used to be freaked out every time somebody said cyber anything. Now it's kind of like, hey, you're there again. That's nice to see you. Is there a way you can help me and the audience to understand why we should still be extremely afraid of the boogeyman and what's going on out there that's gotten worse than it has over the last 5 years? Because the tools have just gotten better, so everybody's kind of like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a real challenge, John, and you're absolutely right. The scary thing has become the norm, right? Nobody is surprised anymore when they open up the internet and say, "Oh, there's another ransomware attack," or "There's another hack attack," or "Hackers are coming from Russia or China or here or there." It's just not interesting and surprising anymore because of the volume. And that is a bad spot for us to be in, right? That numbness to that can make it so that we're not prepared. So I kind of equate it to, have you ever seen one of those horror movies where there's this really sweet old lady and she's maybe rocking in a chair and talking and just like seems really nice, and all of a sudden she becomes a demon, right? That comes after you and attacks you. It's kind of like that for me. Lately, things have transitioned. Hack attacks have certainly not gone down, but things have transitioned to more of this realistic deep fake kind of stuff. So we're seeing more and more deep fakes. You've seen them in the news. It used to be very poorly worded emails. Now we're seeing an incredibly sophisticated set of messaging coming out that is clearly AI driven, AI automation, things like that are just making things much more let's see, much more challenging, I should say. There are more attacks, there are better attacks, and we're seeing way more business email compromise attacks where vendors are falling for it, and then we're getting a message from the vendor. So it's really a time to turn the dial up on vigilance, not really to turn the dial down. No matter how numb you feel about it, you still have to pay attention. You still have to see, hey, is the boogeyman really in the closet or is he under my bed? And there are big scary hands coming from under the bed, right? It's important we still keep an eye on the boogeyman and we watch for him, because if you haven't already been breached, chances are you've either been breached and didn't know it, or you're coming up next.
Yeah, what's the average time that a hacker's on your system? 260 something days?
So 290 days, roughly 290 days that a hacker can be broken into your system, wandering around and looking for stuff, and you have no idea they're there. Because if we're quiet enough, in the old days, we used to just get in and get everything we could as fast as possible. But if we're quiet enough, none of your controls will detect it. So when I'm doing penetration testing, I'll compromise several endpoints and I'll sacrifice one of them to find out where your controls become effective. And now I know exactly where I can trickle data out of your network, or whether I can, continue to send emails to try and fish more users. That gives me some good thresholds. It's about understanding where you notice me.
You know, that's, you know, it scares me daily. I don't even know how to say it. It really does. Because, knowing that you put in the tools and then it doesn't matter because you're setting right on top of it. You're putting tools right on top of the hacker is already there and embedded and is already your administrator.
Yeah.
So it's a very frightening thing. It- You've been around the casino industry for a while now, and I mean, that being said, how would you grade our industry? I mean, and you can grade on a curve. That's good. But I mean, how would you grade us? Because we tried and we're unique in the sense we're like we have a city to run. We're trying to keep people in the house. We've got some data classification is huge. We got so many holes and things like that that we have to deal with. Uh, how would you grade us?
It's a good question. It's a challenging question. I've been doing this for longer than I care to admit. And I think it depends on how you measure that grade, right? Are you talking about commercial enterprises? Are you talking about tribal government enterprises? Are you talking about other things? And because each one of those things, you typically gets a different grade. So if we look at the CMMI maturity score set, it's 1 through 5. And Most organizations are on the lower end of that because most organizations aren't banks, right? I've had clients that were banks before. I worked for Deloitte for about a decade running their a cyber assessment function globally. And we'd go into banks and do assessments, and we would be there with 40 other auditors auditing the bank at the same time. So banks are highly regulated. So what do? They spend a ton of money on security, and they have a lot of controls in place that are very, very mature and just rigorously tested all the time. That gets them still not to be a five on that 1 through 5 scale, but close, maybe a four-ish. Department of Defense, same way, right? Very important stuff they're protecting. They spend a lot of money protecting it. So they're way up on the scale. If you take a small mom and pop operation, right, that's going to be very low on the scale. So this has been a struggle, an interesting struggle for me as well, because if I talk about our casino enterprise, then that is kind of a bank, but kind of a leisure operation. It's got a hotel attached to it, and it's kind of a concert venue. So there's a lot of different things, and it's not as highly regulated as a bank, right? There's not 40 auditors running around here the same day. So that becomes a challenge. Or are you looking at the government enterprise, which has a completely different set of priorities, a completely different set of risk appetite, right? Where the casino might have more risk appetite than the tribal government, right? Which tends to have very low risk appetite. But I would say if you blend this all together, and I say this with a fair amount of confidence because we actually pay for this data, I would put us at about a 2.2 on a scale of 5. So that would make us a D letter grade. Now, that sounds terrible, but the great news is we used to be an F minus when I first kind of showed up and looked at this industry. I'm like, okay, everybody is way behind on security, right? We're not budgeting appropriately. We're not really looking at the right things. We're not rolling out tools to really protect users as well as we should. So very low on the curve, and moving from a very low one to a two is very expensive and very challenging. And so I see our industry segment kind of moving in that direction, which is fantastic. Unfortunately, it often takes breaches of other tribes, breaches of other commercial entities, MGM, Caesars, the likes, right? It takes an incident like that to really get the board's attention to say, we should spend more money on this. And so that's what I see is I see more money, more effort, more awareness around this subject. And I would like to see us moving closer to a three or even a little bit beyond a three. So we pay for metrics data for our peers in the industry, and that's how I can be pretty confident with the 2.2.
I really wish that you were one of my teachers and said, "Hey, all I want to see, all I want to
Right,
see."
right, right.
That'd have been
Exactly.
great.
Well, if you look at it, pretty much every number jump is an exponential increase in the amount of money that you need to spend. So it's very, very, very expensive and difficult to get up into the 4 and 5 range.
And that being said, I mean, what should we be looking at for a budget? I mean, Yamava is humongous. It's got money everywhere. It's got money for cybersecurity, got money for a guy like you. It's got that kind of money. Um, Little properties, 1,000 games, 800 games, things like that. Not a lot of money, not a lot of ability to build a task force. I mean, but based on like a percentage, what percentage of that GGR should be going to cybersecurity?
I knew I shouldn't have brought up budget because I knew you were going to ask that question. That is a hard question. I so in general, you can look and say information security should be about 10 to 15% of IT's budget, just in general, and about 15-ish% of staffing. And so that's about how you staff, and that's about how you budget an information security function. Now, the IT function should be somewhere between 4 to 6% of total revenue. And it just kind of depends. If you have a very low risk appetite, that might be higher. If you have a very high risk appetite, that might be lower. But It's a lot of money no matter what you do. And if you don't spend money on it, you're going to spend money on it eventually. And it's probably not going to be the way you want to spend the money because you're going to be paying a ransom.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's actually a good guideline to work with. I'm sitting there the whole time thinking, okay, I'm gonna have to relook at this so I can remember the numbers that you're talking, because I'm like going, okay, I'm in budget season right now, so
Yeah,
yeah.
I
When
am as
when
well.
this comes out, I'll probably yeah, oh yeah. So yeah, it's before we go any further though, everyone, we are fortunate enough in Gaming and Leisure Voice to have two sponsors, two great sponsors. So we're going to pause for a minute so you can hear from our second sponsor. With over 50 years of global experience, BPOS delivers comprehensive point-of-sale solutions tailored for casinos, powered by a robust enterprise platform with all the integrations you need, from player rewards, PMS, and camera systems to business intelligence and more. BPOS seamlessly connects your operations. Our solutions cover point-of-sale systems, online ordering, self-serve kiosk, mobile ordering, pay-at-table options, QR code ordering, KDS, inventory management, enterprise reporting, and beyond. Backed by exceptional US-based customer service and support, we ensure your casino's operations run smoothly and efficiently. Welcome back. Uh, Glenn, what scares you today? I mean, and has it changed from what used to scare you? 10 years ago, something, is it the same thing, scary thing, or has it gotten, the monster gotten bigger, more tentacles, more heads, whatever?
I would say the same core things scare me, but the way they approach us is completely different than it ever used to be. So, as a hacker, the job of a hacker is to exploit trust, to get you somehow to trust the hacker, to click on that email from HR and enter your credentials, to accidentally click on that phishing link, right? So number one way to get into a network right now is phishing. Number two is stolen credentials, and stolen credentials are usually obtained by phishing. So a lot of the phishing that's going around, it getting better, definitely worries me and definitely frightens me. The core concept around hackers though is exploiting trust. And if it's not phishing, it's going to be something else. And we've seen the rise of, as I've mentioned before, AI deep fakes. And we're seeing more and more of those, right? Impersonating politicians and impersonating other people. But there's been lots of people that have sent money because the CFO told them to, or the CEO told them to, and that, so that has gotten much much better, although to be fair, it did occur before, just not at the volume that it does now, because it used to be expensive and difficult for hackers to do some of these things. You had to buy a lot of accounts, you had to buy a lot of compute power. With the advent of newer technology and AI, the cost to attack people is just gone way down. So in the dark net, everybody's familiar with Chat GPT and some of these other tools that are out there. In the dark net, they have the same tools, but it's dark GPT, and it's $20 a month, and I can put in your name, what I know about you, and it'll go look for social media profiles and LinkedIn profiles and everything else, and it will build an attack package. Here's how you attack John. So very good for spear phishing and other campaigns like that. So you got to look for those highly targeted things coming in. But I will tell you what scares me the most right now. It's the advent of quantum computing. So quantum computing, very advanced physics model, some of it's experimental, some of it's becoming reality. But when you blend quantum computing, which by the way can crack all of AES 256 in one cycle if you've got a weak cipher, if you blend quantum computing with AI, then you can come up with some really crazy stuff. Really, really crazy. You think the videos look real now? Just wait. You think the emails look great now? You think it takes AI a little while to understand what you are and what you say? Just wait till you're sitting in a conference call with 6 or 8 other people and having a great discussion, and every single one of them are AI fakes. And that's happened. It hasn't been quite I can't imagine it's quite as good as it will be in the near future, but that's happened, and I believe it's probably quantum. And we actually had someone, the CFO of a bank, that sent, I think it was about $14 million to someone else. They'd met with the CEO and they'd met with the board and had this great discussion around this investment, and it all looked real. And it was completely deep faked, and it was on a Zoom call. So it
Wow.
was live, interactive conversation back and forth. So those are the things that really scare me. And if you want to get a little nervous, any of you who watch The Black Mirror, if you've ever heard of the TV show The Black Mirror, look up an episode called Joan is Awful. And that episode goes over what happens if you put quantum computing with AI. It's cheesy, but it's pretty good. So that scares me. Also, there's a lot of, especially with elderly, there's a lot of abuse going on with deep fake phone calls, getting the elderly to say to pay money, right? They'll get a call from their grandson saying, I've been locked up in prison in another country and I need $5,000 for bail. And the elderly population is paying it. So that really worries me as well. So my bit of advice there is come up with a code word. Remember when we were young and mom and dad said, all right, go off to school, Glenn. Anybody who comes pick you up, if a stranger walks up, they have to know this code word. Otherwise, you run and scream stranger, right? We all probably do that, or a good portion of us did. Have a code word. It's more important now than it's ever been because when you
Mine
get the
used to be monkey banana. I don't know why, but nobody would ever think of it. And it was the code word I gave my kid. Just say it'll be monkey banana.
monkey banana, that's that is a perfect code word, right? But share that, have that same code word still with your kids, or a different one probably, since you've said this online. But
Well,
you,
my kids are grown. So
but
if
it still happens even with grown children,
that's
right?
true. That's true.
So I have a code word with everyone in my family and my close friends. And if you get a call from me for whatever reason, and it sounds weird, I'm asking for money, something like that, ask me what the code word is. Because if they don't get it right, it's not me.
Glenn, I thought we were close. I mean, really. Come on. So, I don't
I'll,
even know you.
I'll tell you later, John.
Okay. Well, Glenn, you were like the first person who ever showed me the dark web. And I got to tell you, I have never been so frightened and fascinated in my entire life. Just the amount of like, Amazon shopping for the cruelest and awfulest things you imaginable. It's it's so frightening that I think that the majority of people who've never seen it don't get just how bad it is. I mean, just fentanyl, and
Yeah, yeah,
murder, this, and the $1.99 we can build you a ransomware.
yep.
You're like, really? You know?
Credit cards are 10 cents
Yeah,
if you buy them in bulk, right? IDs, full-blown ID packages are, $50 to $350 depending on the individual. This includes all your medical information, right? Hackers are getting very good at taking this place was breached, and let's say this auto finance company was breached, and this healthcare provider was breached, and they take all that information, they put it together, they align it in their database, and now they've got a whole bunch more information on you that makes it much more valuable that they could sell. So we're definitely seeing a huge rise in that as well. The dark web's very scary. I always have to like meditate for a little bit before I go to do some research in there, right? Because I always feel terrible after I go because there's no way to go to the dark web and not see things you don't want to see.
yeah,
So my recommendation is don't go.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's sad because it's allowed script kiddies a real ability to do professional things,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be that smart to do to piece this together now. And that's what's scary. It used to be when you were younger. I mean, I started coding in the 80s as well, but it was on TRS and I didn't have your career. But the you had to work for it. You
Yeah.
really did. Whereas now you can buy all these pieces and be completely, well, for lack of a better term, a moron and put it all together and here you go. And you're now a hacker.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very frightening. Um,
It's scary how easy it is. It really is. It's so inexpensive and a bunch of the tools are just free out there for the taking.
Yeah. So, Glenn, I'm scared of the boogeyman again. Thank you. You've accomplished what you needed to accomplish today. I'm sure that the audience is as well. But it's been great having you. Do you have any like really closing thoughts on anything?
I do. I do. I'll have some security closing thoughts. So my
Okay.
suggestions are this. Think like a hacker. If you've never been a hacker, you can join along and think like a hacker. Think, how would someone get in to my business, my personal life, right? Because you need to protect your personal life as well. How could someone exploit your trust, take advantage of you, get in? Don't use the same password across websites, right? All that typical traditional advice. But if you think like a hacker, you'll start thinking of different ways to protect yourself and to protect your loved ones and to protect the enterprise or organization that you work for. I think that's really important. If you're on the commercial side of the house, always assume breach. Just assume they're already in there because they probably are. Maybe they're not. Like the worst case scenario is you assume they're in and they're not, right? That's way better than assuming they're not and they are, right? That's quite good. People will represent the weakest link. As I said before, hackers exploit people, the trust in people. So train the living daylights out of them. I was speaking with our cyber insurance underwriter not too long ago, and they were asking about our phishing campaigns and exercises. And I told them, and they said, "Oh, yeah, we've got another customer who's going to stop doing the phishing exercises because they're cumbersome and too many people complain." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Guess who we're not renewing?" Right? So don't stop training, I think, is the thing there. And then the other thing that this is always a challenge, it takes money to do this. And so get good at building the right business case to go talk to your leadership to get just a little bit more money to be able to do a little bit more to improve your program. So that's my advice.
That's great advice, Glenn. And I really appreciate having you on the show, and I know everyone else does as well. Thank you for coming on, and everyone, thank you for tuning in and talking about the cybersecurity threats that we deal with every day.
Thank you, John. It's been an honor. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.